On this episode of Inside the Artist, we sit down with renowned author Emiliano Martin as he talks about his new book, Caught Between Layers. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Artist with your host, John J. Rupert. Today is Tuesday, January 25th, 2022, and we're taking you inside the pages of Caught Between Layers, a newly published book by our guest today, renowned author and poet Emiliano Martin. Mr. Martin, how are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Before we begin, all of us here at Inside the Artist would like to wish you a very happy New Year.
Likewise to you.
How was your holidays?
Very peaceful, thank God. Everybody's healthy and nothing catastrophic occurred in our lives.
Were you able to get a lot of work done?
Yes, indeed. And relax, especially relax.
Speaking of the holidays and work done, the last time you visited us in December, you read some of your original holiday poems. You also talked about the differences between Spain and America for some of those holidays. I can honestly say our viewers on our YouTube channel really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
We understand you recently published a brand new book called Caught Between Layers. Can you tell us about the book?
I'll be delighted. It is a book I am very proud of. The book actually came out to the market last week. It is a collection of insightful thoughts of my own that I have put together, and I must say there are about 111 poems. Some are short, some are longer, but overall is I believe, I'm very proud of my work, and the book is out there.
How long have you been working on this book?
On and off about 2 years, because I've been doing other things in between. But like I said earlier, some of the poems are short enough that allow me to move ahead and do something else.
Where did you get your inspirations from the poems inside this book?
Oh, inspiration is something that comes naturally and unexpected. Sometimes it is a picture I see, it is a photograph, it is someone I meet, I talk for a while, and the inspiration is something that we never know where it's going to come from. Often, reading the newspaper, reading a headline, give you an idea to write something about it, because, you know, we are humans and we digest the information we obtain and we develop our own thoughts.
Would you be so kind as to share some of your poems from this book with us?
Oh, I'll be delighted, John. Good to put my glasses on, because if I read a poem, I have difficulty without my reading glasses. So if you don't mind, I did mention earlier that I get inspiration from a picture, from a photograph, from a painting, from something that I see. And this is this case. One of my hobbies is burning wood, creating images that I color, and the result is like the poem I'm going to read later on. Butterfly and freedom. If the butterfly is free, it must have a set of wings, adding color to the air with a scent of poetry. And that poem I wrote after I burned on wood the colorful image of a butterfly that I gave to one of the members of my family.
Now, is that a specific type of poetry you just read?
Not necessarily. It is just the way it came to mind. It doesn't follow any pattern. It's a short poem, but it's just a thought, looking at the photograph that came about, and I couldn't help it.
Would you like to share some more?
Oh, absolutely. There is a photograph that was taken by a friend of mine, and he kindly sent it to me, and I saw it. And as soon as I saw the picture, I decided I have to write something about it. So I wrote a simple haiku. It goes like this. Haiku, for a picture taken by John or Rupert. No ripples, no wind. The dog is on the water, floating quietly. I couldn't help it. It's a picture that is nice to look at, and the words in verse came out this way.
Nice. Care to share another one?
Oh, absolutely. There is another picture I saw that made me convert into a wood burning image that I create very often. It is the image of a dove, and when I finish it, I look at it and I came up with a simple thought. I call it Flying Dove. The flight of a dove should not be ignored by humans taking a walk below its path. You never know what's coming down from the sky.
How do you decide the overall style of each book that you write?
I don't particularly look for any particular style because I don't have a style on my own. I mean, I write what I write, but I do not follow a pattern. So I let my mood to dictate what I'm going to write about.
Do you have a particular style that you would consider this book?
The style of this book is mostly free verse, also rhyming verses, but there is no style such as classicism dictated by the classics. Like there is not a sonnet, there is not a verse of so many syllables, I just wrote what I thought that came to mind.
Can you explain the title of this book for us?
The title of the book is Caught Between Layers, and it came out in big letters in the book. Caught Between Layers is actually a title that belongs to a title of a poem I wrote, Caught Between Layers. And people may say, what kind of layers are you talking about? So, well, if you read the poem, Caught Between Layers, I define what layers I'm talking about. But the book itself is not about any particular set of layers. It could be layers of complexity, layers of feelings, layers of pain, layers of whatever layers we can imagine. It's what I had intended for the title of the book. So, Caught Between Layers could be about any layers we can think of.
Did you have any other working titles on this one before you chose this title?
Yes, indeed. I was thinking Over the Ashes of Time, because there is a poem also in the book that is called Over the Ashes of Time. But then I thought about it, and I figured that as a title for a poem may work. I may get away with it, but for a book, Over the Ashes, that implies something has been burnt, something is ashes. I didn't like for a title, so I changed to Layers of Complexity. And then I said, well, Layers of Complexity is not really what I want, so it became Caught Between Layers, because I didn't know what layers I was going to talk about.
I think you made the right choice.
I hope so.
I'm sure our viewers would love to hear some more of the poetry from this book.
I'd be delighted to read poetry. One of the things about any poet is that when he or she is asked to read in public the works being written, it's a delightful experience. It is like a nice compliment to somebody. Could you read the poem? Absolutely, I'll be delighted. So, without further delay, I'm going to read Tangible Dream. Don't be afraid of ideas vanishing behind the horizon. They surely will return in the complete daily cycle from sunrise to sunset. When given another chance to secure the possibility of converting any idea into reality, there is no more time to waste. Before this energy runs away from our hands, hold on to your own thoughts. If you can afford to do so, pump them up vigorously, because at the end, there won't be time to refrain from the chase of a tangible dream.
Nice. Can we hear some more?
I'd be delighted. Like I said, don't give me ideas because then I cannot stop. Reminiscing is the title of this poem. I was looking for an answer, but I was afraid to ask. So I took my time pretending to be ready for a chance. That never happened. I remained sitting and waiting, wishing to be up to the task. Now it is a thing of the past.
Nice.
Thank you. I'm going to follow up with a poem. It's not too long. Endurance is the title. Often our endeavors find a detriment in technology, yet there is a good analogy to overcome things with prudence, while a degree of endurance bites its tongue by using poetry.
Please tell our viewers where they can purchase Caught Between Layers, as well as your other books.
The book can be obtained online because unfortunately the COVID is still doing a lot of harm to the local area stores. And even though many of them are open, people are afraid to go out and look at the books and stay around people, and so the safest way right now is order online. If you go to the internet and you type the title of the book, Caught Between Layers, Poems by Emiliano Martin, will appear in several internet outlets like the publisher itself, lulu.com, a very reliable organization. They do a very nice packaging and the books are delivered at home without a problem. Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Of course, Amazon can deliver the book at
For
your
free.
front door.
Yeah, for free.
And if you're a member of Amazon,
Yeah.
the deliverance is for free. I understand that Barnes & Noble can pick up an order by the customer. The book is delivered to the store, and you go personally to the store and pick up the book.
Oh, wow.
But it's got to be ordered in the store. There are many other internet outlets that provide the book, but these are the three most popular, especially the the person who produced the book, lulu.com. They do a good job.
What other projects are you currently working on?
Oh, I'm always doing something. Trying to finish up another book of poetry written in English. And it's just about done, but it's not done. I'm working on it. I have to polish it up. And I'm also at the same time working on ideas and short stories. And God knows what is going to be the next project.
As well as your carvings, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Someone told us that there's a chance you could be writing a book on your carvings?
I'm considering putting together a collection of the wood plates I've been working on, taking a photograph and make a book based on photography. But I'm not a photographer. I'll give it a try. But for now it's just an experiment. I try to photograph every piece of wood burning that I work on, and the results are satisfactory, at least to me.
During these trying times when in-person meetings for poets and writers are mostly unavailable, what advice can you give us to keep sharp with our public speaking?
Write, read, and if you can, spend time at the various Zoom poetry readings available in the internet. There are many organizations arranging poetry readings in what they call Zoom meetings. It's the only way to do something about it because every other place is closed. People don't gather together the way we used to. And this has been going on for almost 2 years. It's too long. But this is the way it is. I guess this is what they call the new normality. And people are accepting that, yeah, okay, this is the way it is. Well, it's killing us because we cannot see anyone. But at least we have health for now. And we must keep moving on.
Have you ever rehearsed in front of a mirror?
When I was younger, I did. Lately, as I get older, I don't look at myself at the mirror because I get scared.
What about as far as, have you ever recorded yourself and listened to it back?
Yes, that I have done many times.
Is that something you would recommend?
Oh, absolutely. If you can afford it, get a machine, a recording machine that can record what you are saying. You'll be surprised of how many mistakes we make while talking to the mic. And we learn from that experience. It's a very good tool.
And speaking of talking, we'd like to hear some more poems from Caught Between Layers.
Well, I'll be delighted. Since I mentioned earlier that the book title is Caught Between Layers, if you don't mind, I'm going to read the poem itself.
Oh, wonderful.
The one I call Caught Between Layers. And in that poem I talk about what layers I'm talking about. I have to find it, of course. Caught between layers. Don't confuse being still with doing nothing at all. For the power of imagination could build wonders while we dream on. Even if we fall asleep, chances are we still may wake up, caught between layers of laziness and cold. If so, let us get up, get ready and back to weaving thoughts, start climbing the ropes where at least we could hang on and smear ink on paper while we can. It is a personal poem, a personal perception of how I see us. When I say us, people, humans going through life, that we sometimes don't have the energy. We wake up, we don't want to get out of bed, we feel tired, we are lazy, we are do something. And if you can write put it in writing. Get the ink out of the cartridge and write anything that comes to mind. It doesn't have necessarily a good piece of writing, just writing as a form of exercise. So this is what I describe in this poem about the layers of laziness. But I didn't want to use that laziness as part of the title of the book.
We here at Inside the Artist get a lot of messages and a lot of comments on the videos we've done over the years. One of the questions that always keeps on coming up is people ask us, where did you come up with your presentation as far as how you articulate the poems?
I used to be better when I was younger. I used to perform in public. Lately, especially the last 2 years, I have not performed at all. I used to try to memorize the poems as much as I could. Yet, the poem, even if it is read on a book or on a piece of paper, is got to be adapted to the drama of the subject being read. Not over dramatic, but the intonation of the voice, the conviction of the author has to be there. I cannot read a poem that people do. You've got to put the voice and the drama together. They have to blend. It is almost like acting on a stage, but not overacting, because that is for the actors on theater, on a stage. For the poet, it's got to come out, I think, honest feelings from the soul. Express your honesty through the words you say. And of course, reading poetry is very important. I have said this in front of people many, many times. The lecture, the reading of the poem has to be slow. A poem is not like reading the news in the newspaper. When you say, last night somebody got killed in downtown Philadelphia. No. Last night someone was killed in the streets of Philadelphia. Each word has to be separated, and within the word, syllable by syllable, must be clearly defined so that the reader can make sure that the audience do pick up the words, digest the word, and continue with the work.
Sort of like nutrition for the mind.
Absolutely. It's an exercise. I apologize in this occasion because I have not been fully prepared for the reading. But if I have to give a reading before a stage, a big audience, I have to be better prepared, much better, because mistakes are made all the time by anybody. And when people pay for a performance, when people give you or give us the admiration and the time for our reading, they deserve much better. And we have to be totally prepared, no question about it.
Another question that people always ask is, we've talked about it before throughout the years, is they want to know about your accent.
My accent, of course, is Spanish. I am originally from Spain, and sometimes I've been told that, well, you're on the stage right now, you can cut off the accent. And I tell people, no, you don't understand. It's part of me. I can't get rid of it. And even though I have been in this country, in the United States, for many, many years, the accent is something that has become part of my personality. And I must say that an accent may be a plus in a poetry reading. That's why British actors are so good at reading poetry, because the British accent is an addition to the performance, and it's a very nice thing. Not to say that not having a British accent does not work in poetry, because, for example, actors like Gregory Peck, who was an excellent actor, American character, he read poetry beautifully. So, an accent is an accent. British accents are excellent for poetry. In my case, the Spanish accent is there to stay.
Speaking of accents, we'd like to hear some more poems with your accent.
My goodness, this is going to be my day. I'll read something, absolutely.
We here at Inside the Artist always want to give our viewers what they ask for.
Oh, absolutely. Empty chair. Somehow, there is always an empty chair, inviting to be used, being unaware of who will allude to the hardness of its seat, and the poor attitude for the four unbalanced legs. This is the poem that make people to think, what the hell is he talking about? You have to really read the poem twice, which is in my estimation, a no-no. The poem should be defined. But lately, the new scholars and the new poets write poetry that nobody understands, which is one of the issues why poetry is not a popular, in general, a popular activity. People don't understand the poem, so they give up. They don't want to think about it. In this poem, what I'm trying to say is that nobody wants to use the chair, but everybody wants to sit on it. They pick up a chair, and then, as I say at the end of the poem, not noticing that the unbalanced legs are making the chair shaky, which is not a comfortable way to sit.
Well, like you were saying, as far as today's society, songwriting is the same. Songwriting today, if you listen to it, you don't understand what the lyrics are because it's not the lyrics. It's all about the beat. It's all about the melody.
Yes.
Nobody cares about the story behind the music. And that's a shame because back in the day, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you had wonderful songwriters and you listened to their words and you heard a story that was accompanied by the music. Today, it's the music first, story,
They say that poetry is the mother of the song. And there is a reason for that. Poetry has to have music. When you read the poem, you have to hear the music in the background. Your own music, even though you may not be a musician. If you listen carefully to the songs written in the 50s, the 60s, and even the 70s, and I would go even back to the 40s. If you listen carefully, you will find the poetry in the lyrics of each song, because poetry is the mother of the song. After that, there is no poetry. There is a beat, there is a rhythm, there is a very fashionable, very commercial. It works, obviously, because there are people making lots of money singing, playing the music. It's not poetry. Well, who is to say that a song has to have poetry? Because there are tons of people that can demonstrate that, see, I wrote a song, it's a hit, and has nothing to do with poetry. So what do you do?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But if you go back to the old days, my parents, my grandparents, you have to be a poet to write a good song. Obviously, it's just the way it is. Although I must say that there are contemporary people, like Neil Diamond, for example, an American great performer, is a good poet. Simon and Garfunkel are great poets.
Bob
Dylan is a great poet, and people don't think of him as these people. I mean, we have good poets, but you can listen to the Rolling Stones music, and nobody can deny the fame and fortune and value that the Rolling Stones have added to the society we live today. There's no poetry in any song. And yet, they keep going. Of course, drugs help. But no, seriously, there is very little poetry in today's musical ambient.
Well, speaking of poetry, let's hear one more poem from Caught Between Layers.
Caught Between Layers, my goodness.
And how many pages are in that again?
To answer your question, 106.
Nice. Now, why did you choose 106? Is there a reason for that? Or
I just stopped. I just stopped writing. I said, okay, I'm not writing anymore for this book because I have another one coming up. I don't know when I finish it. I never finish a book. Even though I believe I'm done, I'm never done until I decide, that's it. I put it in an envelope and I'm done. So, this is a poem that I am very proud of because it is life itself. Sails and sailors. When or if the waves get rocky, no ship can remain at ease. To fight the fury of the sea, every sail needs to be furled. In other words, roll down and waiting to see if the men made with nerves of forged iron are the sailors they must be.
What do you miss most about being in front of your fellow artist?
Obviously, the warmth of being around humans, the conversations we don't have anymore, the plans for the future we don't have anymore because everybody's in a holding pattern. Everything is stalled. Life has got to the point where nobody has any life. I feel sorry for the young people because we, older people like me, we already have the life behind. I have granddaughters, I have sons, I already have the life. But the young people now, when I see my granddaughter with a mask all the time, it's like, oh my God, cannot even give you a kiss. So, and in our case, poets, we used to get together in poetry readings and gatherings, and there is nothing like that anymore. It's a shame.
It's like a horror movie. It's what it seems like.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Yeah.
It never ends because if we knew that this is going to end next week, okay, next month, I'll put up with it. We don't know what's going to happen this summer. We don't even know if people are going to be allowed to go to the beach. We have no clue of what is going on. And yet, well, I don't want to get into politics, but the way we are, it looks like we could go to war.
If you would have to sum up this 2.5 years of a nightmare and a title for a poem, what would it be?
Oh boy, that would be a challenge. A time to forget.
Amen to that.
Nobody will want to recall the last 2 years. It's going to be 2 years in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And this is too long. This is a war we are fighting on our own. And this is the time to forget. We have to move on and accept that this is the way it is. Be cautious, of course. But this fear, this panic that we have induced in people's mind is crazy. It is the way it is.
I guess if Rod Sterling was still alive, he'd be thinking this was one of his episodes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mr. Martin, we always like to ask you to give some advice to all of your viewers and your fans out there. What would you like to say to them?
I'm very appreciative of what we are doing right now because someone like you gives time, talent, and the way to share a friendship we've been having over the years. To the people that watch the video, I must say thank you very much. I wish you health, good health, stay well, and hopefully this ordeal will be over soon. If you enjoy the program, if you enjoy poetry readings, good for you. God bless you.
Once again, we'd like to thank you for granting us inside access to your wonderfully and creative world, and we look forward to our next episode with you.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day and be safe.